Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Changing the Narrative podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Dr. Gabriel Warren, and today I'm flying solo. Carl Benson is not here with us today. He is taking care of some family things, so we are delighted to have Tionne Reese with us today. And Tionne, thanks for being a part of the show, man. We're glad to have you.
Thanks for inviting me, man. I appreciate it. Very excited.
Yeah,
Very excited.
absolutely. Well, I always like to start by, just introducing our guests to the world. So we would like to just kind of get you to share a little bit about who you are, what you do, so that people can get familiar with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My name is Tionne Reese, and I'm in the car industry. So my family, we just purchased our first dealership in Bourbonnais, Illinois. So it's me, my uncle, his son, and his daughter. All of us are just running that together, learning the business. So yeah.
Wow. That's pretty interesting, man, that you have this family business and you guys are in the car industry. Because the only thing I know about the car industry is a lot of the things that people associate with it, like, oh, people are slick talkers or they fast, you can't trust them, blah, blah, blah. So, that's why I wanted to have you on because I know you personally and I know that you guys are doing some really good things. So thanks for being a part of the show.
Oh, I appreciate it. That's why I wanted to do it. That's my whole mission. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
changing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Changing the narrative. So let's start by just talking about how, from your perspective, how important is it for you as a Black man to be in this career field? Because, I mean, most car people that I know, they don't look like yourself, and
Yes,
especially
sir.
they're not a family-owned dealership. So can you just start by sharing the importance of being Black and in this space?
I love that question because I feel like that question for me goes way back to when I was a kid. I was just telling my uncle, like growing up on the south side of Chicago, you watch movies and you see like the bad perception of like gangsters or, whatever. I never knew those people. I didn't know any gang members personally. I didn't know any hustlers. I knew my uncle who was in the car business. And every time I seen him, he was in a different car. So that was like something that I wanted to be. So I just want to continue that. Now I come home and my kids see me with different cars, and they know that I go to work. So and like you said earlier, what you know about the business is fast talking, slick. But you know me, so
Right.
very important. For me, very changed my life and my family. So
Wow.
very important.
Man, that's pretty interesting. I never thought about it that way, like especially a lot of times in the Black community, depending on how you grow up, you may
Right,
see the drug dealers or
right,
the gangbangers with different cars
yeah,
all the time.
right,
They're going out getting money in ways that is not legal and things like that.
right,
Whereas in your background, you had this uncle who still able to go out and get cars and stuff, but they're
right.
doing it the right way. So I never thought about it that way, man. I'm glad you shared that.
Yeah, yeah. First, I remember one of the ways they hit me. We would go to McDonald's, and we used to get the dollar menu with my grandmother, and he would get us all me and my cousins in the van. We'd get the value meal. I was like, man, like this guy a little different. I ain't never seen nobody let you get the value meal.
That's good. That's good. Um, so now what motivates you to do what you do each day? I mean, I know that it could probably, I know it changes probably sometimes from day to day, but in the grand scheme of things, what is your motivation?
Yeah. So that's a two-part answer. I mean, most people that know me know I got 7 kids. I got a wife and 7 kids. So first of all, I gotta feed them.
Yeah,
They all play sports. My wife stays home. So that's number one.
yeah, yeah,
And then number two, the motivation would be my family, just the business. So our big claim to fame is, the manufacturers that say like we think you guys will sell 10 cars a month. We always go into just dominating, kind of changing the narrative. So if they told us we're gonna sell 10, our goal is always to sell 40. So this that motivation and people holding me accountable for my family, whether it's that my cousin who's my partner or my uncle, they just constantly in my ear, like, wherever we go, we gotta dominate it. We gotta destroy it. Kind of like the Michael Jordan, mentality.
yeah.
Not just get 10, we gotta just go for it. So that motivates me every day, besides the kids and wife,
Wow, that's
family
awesome.
legacy.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. And then I definitely gotta give you a shout out for the wife and 7 kids.
Yeah, it felt like 10.
That's
We had some
huge.
kids over this weekend. We had 10.
Yeah, wow, man. I mean, I just have two, and
Yeah,
it's a handful. So, that's a big thing. But I also think that even that narrative is something that I think has to get out there more because I
right,
mean, when I think about people who are big families, I typically think about other cultures, white cultures, Asian cultures.
sure,
They typically have that dynamic where they may have a husband, wife, seven, eight, nine, 10 kids. I don't think
right.
about that. So was that always the goal? I know this wasn't necessarily one of the questions that I had on the docket, but thinking about that, was that always the goal for you?
No, it was not. Not even close. Never seen it coming. It was a plot twist.
Yeah.
No, I had two. My wife had two, and then she said, let's have two more. I said, cool. And then we adopted one too, a family member. So yeah, no,
Wow.
never was the plan, but I love it.
Man, that's awesome, man. Well, I'm sure that I know that you guys are making a huge impact, and I'm glad that you guys are changing that narrative too. So,
Right.
um, so now I did want to jump back to a question about like in the media, right? There's always these images that we see in the media about the way Black men are portrayed, and sometimes I think the media contributes to this misconception that Black men are to be feared or that they lack self-control or whatever the case may be. So, what's your perspective on that? Like, in what ways do you feel like those portrayals affect the way people view us?
Yeah. So for me, that actually affected me from my point of view. That had me feeling like I couldn't be aggressive, that I couldn't stand up for myself, especially in the workplace.
Yeah,
I was always afraid to like show who I was, or whether that was, chasing my dream, but being in the car industry, or if somebody, because the car industry is very, I don't want to, you can say cutthroat, but it's very like you got to stand your ground.
yeah,
Uh, so that was a place where I learned that I could stand up because for me, like I said, it always affected me. I always feel like if I did stand up for myself, that people would see me aggressive. If I did say something, so it played a big part more on me than I could think about anybody else. I just got to the place where it's like, well, I'm gonna stand up for myself, and if you think I'm aggressive, that's on you. That's your point of view. I've never been to jail or anything like that. I'm just chasing my dreams and standing on what I believe in. So it more so affected me.
mm,
So hopefully I answered your question, but that's my point of view of it. They
yeah,
had me, and I think it affects a lot of people, especially if you grew up in the suburbs and they're all even though they know you, they're just looking at the media, you
right,
know. And so for me, I fell into that more, I think, than anybody else.
yeah. No, I agree with you, and I just thinking and hearing your answer, I was thinking back on my life, and I could pinpoint probably several occasions where maybe I should have spoke up in a meeting, or
Sure.
maybe I should have, helped to say something that I felt like other people may have been saying about Black people or our community, and I didn't
Yeah.
speak up at those times. And I think
Right.
sometimes that goes to what we see on TV and not wanting to be that person that they
Yeah.
people have
Yeah. I
seen.
think it affects us a lot, especially if you
Right.
are quote unquote trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. No, man, I agree with that. Um, and hopefully, things like what we're doing here today is helping to change that a little bit.
Yeah, that's always one of my goals, especially with my kids, because I learned that it's okay. One actually a guy told me that at work. He said, "Tim, I think you'll be okay as long as you're not hitting nobody, you're not cursing at nobody. If you get a little upset, that's okay. He's one of the guys that taught me that, and I've seen my family do it too. But yeah, that took me to a place where I can get comfortable.
Yeah.
Because my voice can get deep, and sometimes people think I'm tall, but
Yeah,
you know,
no, that's good.
yeah.
Um, so now if you had to write out your life's mission statement in one phrase, one sentence, what would that be?
Family legacy, and I hope that's not like too broad or too corny, but that is my goal. I was at a pool party today, and the grandfather was 80, and had his grandkids there having a pool party, and I'm just like, I didn't have that, so that's one thing that I want to lead on.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, you well on your way with the 7 kids.
Oh man, that's the goal. You know, they even excited with the podcast. I could just see it on their face. So appreciate you making me look good in front of the
Hey
kids.
man, you don't need any help, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now putting on your hat of, if there was one misconception about being a black man that society has kind of put out there, and you had the ability to eradicate it, what would that misconception be and why?
It'd be what we touched on earlier. It would be fatherhood.
Mm,
Like you said, when I tell people I got 7 kids, I can see their look on their face. Like, how many baby moms you got? Or,
yeah,
wow, do you know how it works making kids? I always just feel that, but I've been married twice. So that's how I ended up with it.
yeah,
I was married one time, had 2 kids and my wife. So that would be it. The fatherhood. I love being the father. That's been a passion of mine. So that would be fatherhood. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
And I agree with that, man, because I think that for whatever reason, people don't always view black men as being fathers and taking care of their responsibilities and things
Yeah.
like that. And that is a narrative, like you said, I really, really hope to change because I know several black men who are great fathers, even if they've gone through situations kind of like what you just described. I still know those men standing up and taking care of the things that they have to take care of. So I'm glad you brought that one up because it is something that I know is a false narrative that black men don't take care of their families.
Yeah, yeah. Even the one time, not to go off the rubber. One time I had to go to court, and
Mm.
they said, "Sir, it says you don't want to pay no child support." I said, "Yeah, because I got the kids." They said, "Well, that makes sense."
Yeah, that's a good reason. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So now tell me, what does success look like to you from your perspective?
Yeah, that would be my life right now. My
Mm.
ability to, because I live in Minnesota, but I work in Illinois, so that to me is success. That's a hard thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
Just having a house here and blessed that my company gives me an apartment there and just been blessed to be able to drive or fly back and my kids playing sports and my wife, happy and that don't being able to do whatever you want to do,
Mm.
whether that's take a family vacation or put your kids in sports or travel to the sports or just taking a date night with your wife or all that. The way I live right now would be success to me.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. And now I think it's always good to be able to, kind of share a little bit about the impact you're making in the community, whether it's here in Minnesota or whether that's where you work in Illinois. So could you share about some of the ways you give back? I know you do a lot, but just maybe share a few things.
Yeah, the last couple of things we just did a backpack giveaway. We gave over 100 backpacks to the Bradley community. So people came out, we gave out the backpacks, and there was school supplies inside of the backpacks. Then we also had cotton candy, and we had food for the kids and the families, plus the bouncy house. So we probably had like 300 people show up for that.
Wow.
Actually, ran out of backpacks. That was bigger than we all could imagine.
Wow. Yeah.
And then we just hosted a car show last weekend where the families came out. So that's been a big part is just, you know, giving back to the community and letting them see our faces and shaking their hands and all that. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
What is people's like expressions when you guys are doing these things and then they come to this dealership and they see this black family that owns it and then they're giving back? Like, what's the responses that you guys are getting?
Yeah, they say the energy when they feel it, because we just purchased it from another family in January. So it's been 8 months. So people in the community are like, wow, we can just tell the energy is different.
Mm,
Just when you walk in, just from the smiles, just the hellos, and just the all walks of life of people that we are talking to and speaking with. Yeah, people saying before, I feel like they wouldn't help me. Now it's like you guys are helping out everybody. So they just feel it right away. And
yeah,
it's a small town, so they all talk. Like, oh, I heard the new management. A lot of times they want to meet us, and I've seen a customer where, he sees, one of my family members playing with a kid. You could just see it on their face, just the smile, the joy. Yep.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So now we are, getting close to the end here, but I always like to ask, from your perspective, if you had the ability to rewrite the narrative of what it means to be a black man in America, what would you say?
What would I say it would be if I had to rewrite it?
Yep.
Uh,
Or what should it be in your
yeah, yeah, yeah. We're just people, man. Black is just the color of my skin. I like what everybody likes.
yeah,
my family to be healthy, successful.
yeah.
All of that. And the narrative too would be because I'm from the South Side of Chicago, so uh, sometimes it's just hard. Like I moved away. Well, I didn't move. My parents moved me to Minnesota when I was 10.
Mhm.
Uh, so that changed my life versus my cousins who didn't have that opportunity. Chicago, they force you to join the game. So, sometimes it's just tough. I understand that part that I was lucky to be moved to Minnesota and, have the influence I had. But some of my cousins, they had to stay in Chicago. They didn't have those influences and they were forced to join games.
Yeah,
That's tough. Like I always tell people, the percentage, yeah, some people might be able to go to school every day and get beat up and turn out okay. But most people, are gonna give in to that, So just to understand that too, that it's not. I think the narrative would be, if you see something on the news, it might be different from where you grew up, and try to just talk to the person that you know and not looking at the media so much. I think if I can change, it would be, you know, think about the person you know and not what you see on the media, and kind of listen to that person in front of you. Sometimes when I'm talking to a coworker, they're so focused on what the media said and not what I said, and not really thinking about me and that me and my perspective and my input of it. So that would be if I could change the narrative, think about the people you know and think about what they've been through.
yeah, man, that's awesome. I really like that response, man, because yeah, I think it's important to humanize each other, man. And a lot of
Right.
times we don't always do that because we get most of our
Yeah.
content from like the media or television or shows that we like. And I think that is true. Yeah, like yeah, let's spend time getting to know one another and getting to know the people in our community and not just make all these judgments that we only can see through television. So
Yeah, I tell you all the time. When I met you, it was like I saw you. You told me, this is not Duluth, Bemidji, right?
yeah, yeah,
You said you was from Alabama and you were living in Bemidji. I was impressed. Like, man, I don't know a lot of people that could do that. So
yeah,
that right there was like, wow, this guy, okay. Tell me more, like,
yeah,
man, that's
yeah,
with your family too. Like, wow,
yeah, absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, and I think that's important, man, because yeah, everybody's lived experiences are different, and when you get to know people from the perspectives, even what you just shared about, growing up in Southside Chicago and then having to basically choose whether or not you're gonna, be a part of a lifestyle that's not good or not. Most people don't know that that's the only choice that some people have.
Yeah, no, it's a real thing.
Right, right. And I think it's easy for someone on the outside of that experience to make a quick judgment, but it's like, man, for some people that may be life or death. So that's good. Well, I'm glad that you were able to, your family was able to move you over to Minnesota and you are able to now be here on this podcast helping to change the narrative, hopefully
Right.
for a lot of other people and the perspectives that they may have. So
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So now, finally, how can people reach out to you? How can they follow your journey? If people are interested in like, even supporting some of the things you're doing at your dealership, what are some ways they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Facebook, Tionne Reese, and then the dealership is Court Street Ford. You can find us there too. I'm Tionne, and those are the two biggest ways. Would be courtstreetford.com or on Facebook. We also got a Facebook for Court Street Ford on Facebook too. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, if anyone say they live outside of Illinois, can they still reach out and contact you?
Oh man, that was a great question. So yeah, I will. Yeah, I can do it all over the phone. I will deliver it to you. We actually just did a partnership with a Gopher player, so we call it the Jaden Wright special. I'll deliver it to your house. Yep, yeah, that's not a problem. We do all paperwork online, and and I'll deliver it to your house. Yep, great question, man. Thanks for bringing that up.
No
Good looking out.
problem. No
Yeah.
problem.
No, I don't care where you at. That's actually kind of cooler, you know. I would love to come anywhere. Yeah, that's one of my goals.
Yeah, awesome.
We'll make it work. We'll take care of you.
Well, Tionne, man, I one of the joys of doing this podcast is that we get to, interview people like yourself, man, who are doing great things, and I'm especially grateful because I know that you, like you mentioned, you live in Minnesota, you work in Illinois, and for you to take some time out to do this interview is something that I'm grateful for, man. So thank you for being a guest on the podcast, and I'm looking forward to sharing this with everybody.
Thank you for having me, man. This was a blast. Went smooth. Thank you.